You ever have one of those moments where everything in your life shifts in an instant? Where you walk into a room expecting one thing and leave with your entire world flipped upside down? Yeah. That was me last Thursday. My name's Jake Holloway, 36, married to Emily for 8 years. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had a routine, coffee in the mornings, work, dinner together, then her binge-watching reality shows while I scrolled on my phone. Comfortable, predictable. A little stale? Maybe. But I never imagined she'd... Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Emily worked at McAllister & Company, a mid-sized marketing firm, and I was there that night to support her. It was the annual company gala, and everyone was dressed to the nines, sipping overpriced champagne, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. I wasn't thrilled to be there, but she had hinted that a big announcement was coming, and I wanted to be the supportive husband. Then the CEO, Greg Lancaster, took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," Greg's voice boomed through the speakers. "It's time to recognize someone who has gone above and beyond this past year. A person who has truly dedicated themselves to this company." There was a weird pause. People chuckled. Greg smirked. "And that person is Emily Holloway." The crowd cheered. I clapped, feeling genuinely happy for her. But then Greg kept talking. "Emily, you've been an absolute pleasure to work with. Your passion, your commitment, your unwavering willingness to go the extra mile." His voice dipped, too intimate, too suggestive. "I can personally say that your efforts have not gone unnoticed." The audience murmured. Some laughed. A couple of the younger guys nudged each other, smirking. Emily was blushing, but not the flustered kind. More like the caught kind. Greg handed her the plaque, their fingers brushing. His eyes lingered, and then he winked at my wife. I wasn't the only one who noticed. A woman near me whispered to her husband, "Did you hear the way he said unwavering willingness? God, they're not even trying to hide it." Something in my chest tightened. Emily gave her acceptance speech. She kept it short, thanked Greg first before even mentioning me. Then she stepped off the stage without looking my way. That's when I knew. I didn't have proof yet, but I had a gut feeling. And that's worse, isn't it? Because now, everything before that moment, every business trip, every late-night email, every unexplained weekend meeting, started to feel like a lie. I should have confronted her that night. I didn't. Instead, I poured myself a whiskey, watched her laugh at Greg's jokes, and started making a plan. Because if I was right, if my wife was screwing her boss, then I was going to catch them in the act. And that was going to be one hell of a mess. I didn't sleep that night. Emily came home buzzed and glowing, her plaque clutched like a damn trophy. She set it down on the kitchen counter and turned to me, eyes shining. "Well?" she asked, smiling. "Aren't you proud of me?" I forced a smile, sipping my beer. "Yeah. Big night, huh?" She nodded, already peeling off her dress, acting like nothing was off, like her boss hadn't given a speech that sounded like a goddamn erotic novel in front of a room full of people. "Greg really had a lot to say about you," I said, keeping my tone casual. She hesitated for half a second before turning back to me. "Yeah, well, he's just, Greg. He likes to hype people up." "Hype people up?" I hummed in response. "That was more than hype." She shrugged. "He appreciates my hard work. That's one way to put it." Instead of pushing, I let it go for now. I needed proof. Concrete, undeniable evidence before I turned my entire life upside down. The next day, I played it smart. I took off from work, told Emily I had some errands to run, and started digging. First stop, her phone bill. Emily and I shared an account, and normally I never had a reason to check it. But now, I was looking for one number in particular, Greg's. And holy fking SHT, there it was. Hundreds of texts. Not emails. Texts. At all hours of the day. Late at night. Early in the morning. Even when she was right next to me in bed. That was bad. But then I noticed something worse. A second number. Unfamiliar. Repeated just as much. A burner? No. If she was cheating with Greg, why the extra number? Something wasn't adding up. I copied the unknown number and ran it through a reverse lookup site. I was expecting some random contact, maybe another coworker she was confiding in. But the name that popped up? Shannon Decker. I froze. Shannon was Greg's wife. I had no idea what to do with that. Why the hell was my wife texting her boss's wife so much? A confrontation? Blackmail? Some kind of twisted agreement? Whatever it was, I had to find out. I saved the number into my phone and, with my heart hammering, sent a message. Me, hey, is this Shannon? A few minutes later, the typing bubble appeared. Shannon. Who is this? Me, I think we need to talk. About Greg. And Emily. She stopped typing. Then, after a long pause, she responded. Shannon. Meet me at Moonbeam Cafe. 4 p.m. F***CK. I had no clue what I was walking into. But one thing was certain, this was way bigger than I thought. I arrived at Moonbeam Cafe at 3:50 p.m., my nerves buzzing like a live wire. It was a small, overpriced coffee shop in a quiet part of town. The kind of place where people pretend their lives aren't falling apart over oat milk lattes and gluten-free muffins. I spotted Shannon Decker instantly. She was already there, sitting in the farthest corner, sunglasses on, stirring her coffee like she was trying to summon a demon. Shannon was Greg's wife, and up until yesterday, I didn't know she and Emily even spoke. Now, I knew they had been texting constantly. As I approached the table, she looked up and took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were sharp, tired, and filled with something that looked a lot like rage. You're Jake, huh? She said, her voice smooth but tense. Yeah. I sat down, folding my hands on the table. And you're Shannon. Emily's been texting you a lot. She huffed out a bitter laugh. Yeah, well, I assume you found those messages because you're in the same boat as me. Suspicious. Looking for proof. I nodded, deciding to cut straight to it. I think my wife is sleeping with your husband. She didn't react the way I expected.
No gasp. No dramatic denial.
Instead, Shannon smirked and leaned back in her chair. Oh, honey, I don't think it. I know it. My stomach twisted. You have proof. She nodded and pulled out her phone. A few taps later, she turned the screen toward me. There they were. Emily and Greg. Together. In a hotel room. My brain stuttered, trying to process what I was seeing. Greg was on the bed, shirtless, smirking at the camera like a smug asshole. Emily was standing in front of him, her back to the lens, wrapped in nothing but a sheet. My wife. My fucking wife. I had been expecting something bad. Texts, maybe a call log, but this was nuclear-level destruction. My fingers curled into fists on the table. Where did you get this? I asked, my voice low and sharp. Shannon sipped her coffee like she wasn't showing me the collapse of my entire life. I hired a PI, she said. Greg's been cheating for years. Emily's just his latest project. I swallowed down the taste of bile. How long? She sighed. 6 months. Maybe longer. 6 months. Half a fucking year. While I was kissing her goodbye every morning, while we were eating dinner together, while I was making love to her, thinking we were just in a rough patch. She was screwing her boss. I gritted my teeth, trying to keep my emotions from boiling over right here in the middle of this bougie-ass coffee shop. Why did she text you? Shannon tilted her head. Because I called her. I blinked. You what? I confronted her, Jake. Weeks ago. Weeks. My whole body tensed. And she didn't tell me? Not a damn word. Shannon scoffed. Of course not. She swore to me she'd break it off. I figured she was lying, so I kept the PI on them. Turns out I was right. I ran a hand down my face, trying to breathe through the fire raging in my chest. Shannon sighed and leaned forward, her voice quieter now. Listen, Jake. I don't know what your plan is, but I'm not divorcing Greg yet. Not until I get what I need from him. But you don't have to wait. I looked at her, my pulse pounding in my ears. What do you mean? She slid a manila envelope across the table. These are the full reports. Photos, timestamps, even a couple of videos. If you want to confront Emily, go ahead. But if I were you, I'd make it count. I stared at the envelope like it was a ticking bomb. Because it was. and I was gonna fucking detonate it. I didn't say a word to Emily when I got home. She was on the couch, legs tucked under her, scrolling through her phone like she wasn't out there sucking Greg's dick for a promotion. I dropped my keys on the counter and walked past her. "Hey, babe," she called out, oblivious. "How was your day?" I almost laughed. Instead, I said, "Fine." And then I went upstairs, locked myself in my office, and opened the envelope. I went through every single picture, every disgusting detail of her betrayal. The timestamps, the locations, the secret meetups during lunch breaks. Every lie she told me, laid out in black and white. And then I found the final video. I clicked play. Greg's voice. "Come on, baby. Tell me how bad you want this promotion." Emily's voice. Soft, breathless. "I'll do anything for it. Anything." My vision blurred with rage. I closed the laptop and exhaled slowly. Tomorrow I was gonna catch them. In the act. And when I did, Greg better pray I don't kill him. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I barely breathed. All night, I replayed that video in my head. Emily's voice whispering those words like a F***king echo chamber in my brain. "I'll do anything for it. Anything." That *T broke me. By the time the sun crawled up over the horizon, I had a plan. I was going to catch them. In the act. Not with a PI. Not with some half-assed confrontation where she could cry and manipulate her way out of it. No. I was going to walk in on my wife F***king her boss. And then, well, then I was going to F***king wreck them both. Emily left for work around 8 a.m., kissing me on the cheek like she wasn't a lying, cheating sack of *T. I forced a smile. "Have a good day, babe." She grinned, completely unaware that her world was about to collapse. "You too, love you. Love you."
Jesus Christ.
I waited exactly 7 minutes after she pulled out of the driveway before I grabbed my car keys and followed her. I already knew their usual spot, a nice little hotel near her office. According to the PI, they booked room 214 every other Friday. It was Friday. Perfect. I didn't go inside. Not yet. I parked across the street, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, and waited. Sure enough, at 12:17 p.m., Emily's car pulled up. And 3 minutes later, Greg's car pulled in right beside hers. Gotcha, mother****. I gave them 10 minutes. 10 minutes to get inside, get comfortable, maybe even get started. Then I walked across the street, through the hotel lobby, and straight to the front desk. The receptionist, a young guy who probably didn't get paid enough for this *T, barely looked up from his computer. "Welcome. Checking in." "Nope. Just visiting a friend in 214. He frowned. "I can't." I slid a $50 bill across the counter. His frown disappeared. "Take the elevator, 2nd floor, 3rd door on the left." I pocketed my room key. "Thanks, man." My heart pounded as I stepped into the elevator, my hand clenching into a fist at my side. This was it. This was the moment I would watch my marriage die. The elevator doors slid open. I walked down the hall, stopping in front of room 214, took a breath, and then I swiped the key card. The door clicked open, and there they were. Emily, Greg, F***king. She was on her hands and knees on the bed, her head thrown back, moaning his name, loud, desperate, like a woman who had never been F***ked before. Greg was behind her, gripping her hips, a sick, satisfied grin on his face as he thrust into my wife. My wife. And you know what's F***ked up? For a second I froze. Not because I was shocked, but because I had never seen her like this before. She never sounded like that with me, like she was truly lost in it. And that cut deeper than the cheating itself. Then Greg opened his eyes and saw me. His grin vanished. "What the F***ck?" I lunged. Greg didn't even have time to react. I ripped him off Emily and punched him so F***king hard his head slammed into the nightstand. He barely got a breath before I grabbed his throat and pinned him down. "You like F***king married women? Huh, Greg?" I snarled, pressing harder, watching his face turn red. Emily screamed, "Jake, stop!" But I didn't. Not yet. I let Greg struggle for a second. Let him feel a fraction of the pain he had just handed me on a silver F*** platter, before I finally let go. He gasped, coughing, scrambling away from me like the coward he was. I turned to Emily, naked, ashamed, trembling. "Jake," she sobbed. "I can explain. Shut the F*** up." She flinched. "Good. You don't get to explain *T," I said, my voice shaking. "I saw the texts, the videos. I heard you. I'll do anything for it. Right?" She choked on a sob. It didn't mean anything, Jake, I swear." "You sure as F*** looked like you meant it just now." She collapsed onto the bed, her whole body shaking. "I didn't want you to find out like this. Like this. Like this." I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ruin your F*** special moment?" Greg, the spineless sh** bag, was trying to crawl toward his clothes. I kicked them across the room. "Nah, buddy. You don't get to scurry away like the rat you are." His eyes flicked to me, and for the first time I saw fear. "Good." I picked up his pants and threw them at Emily's face. "Put your F*** clothes on. Both of you. We're not done." I stepped back, watching as they scrambled to obey. Watching as my wife, my F*** wife, stood there in another man's shirt, looking at me like I was the one who broke her heart. I shook my head, laughing darkly. "You two better get comfortable, because we're about to have one hell of a conversation." The room was thick with silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that comes right before an explosion. Greg was clutching his side like a wounded animal, still wheezing from where I nearly choked him the F*** out. His expensive dress shirt was inside out, his belt half-looped, and he looked like he was trying not to piss himself. Emily? She was a mess. Hair disheveled, mascara running, wrapped in Greg's dress shirt instead of her own. That pissed me off more than anything. She didn't even try to reach for my shirt. No, she picked his. And that told me everything. I leaned against the dresser, arms crossed, letting them squirm, letting them feel what it was like to be completely exposed. "Jake," Emily started, her voice breaking. I held up a hand. "Shut the F*** up." She did. Good. I turned to Greg. "So, Greg, let's talk about this promotion process." The mother *** actually had the audacity to open his mouth, probably to spew some bull's ***T. But before he could, I kicked the nightstand over, making him flinch like a little ***tch.
No.
No words. I want to hear it from her. I turned back to Emily, my wife, the woman I thought I was building a life with. "How long?" I asked, voice low. She swallowed hard, shaking her head. "Jake, how long?" Tears spilled down her cheeks. 7 months. 7. F*** months. I inhaled sharply. 7 months of coming home to her. 7 months of holding her, kissing her, thinking we were just in a rough patch. 7 months of being a complete F*** idiot while she was on her knees for this guy. "And what did you get out of it?" I pressed. "A raise? F*** corner office? What was your price, Emily?" She shook her head wildly, sobbing. "It wasn't like that, Jake. I swear. I didn't mean for it to happen." I laughed. A dark, bitter sound. "Oh, you didn't mean to trip and fall on his D***. 7 months in a row." She broke, covering her face, shoulders shaking. Greg, the dumbass, decided now was the time to speak.
Jalik, Mann, listen."
I grabbed the lamp off the dresser and hurled it across the room. It exploded against the wall just inches from his head. "Do not talk to me." Greg shut the F*** up real quick. I turned back to Emily. I had one last question. The one that would F*** destroy me. "Did you ever love me?" She gasped, shaking her head. "Of course I did, Jake." "Ido." I held her gaze. "Then why?" She didn't answer. She just sobbed harder. And that was all I needed to know. I exhaled, dragging a hand down my face, trying to force down the rage clawing inside my chest. Okay, I said finally. Here's what's gonna happen. Emily looked up at me, hope flickering in her eyes like she thought I was about to forgive her. Wrong. Pointed at Greg. You're gonna call your wife. Right now. Greg froze. What? You heard me. Call Shannon. Put her on speaker. Let's see if she's as understanding as you seem to think I should be. His face drained of color. Jake, please don't do this. I pulled out my phone. Fine. I'll call her myself. No, wait. 2F king late. Ring. Ring. Click. Hello. Shannon's voice came through the speaker, calm and steady. I smirked at Greg. Hey Shannon. Your husband has something he wants to tell you. Greg looked like he wanted to die. Shannon's voice hardened. Greg? What's going on? Greg's eyes darted between me and Emily, his breath shallow. Get up, he stammered. I was cheating. With Emily. Silence.
Pure, deadly silence.
Then Shannon spoke. How long? Greg squeezed his eyes shut. 7 months. Another pause. Then Shannon laughed. Not the funny kind. The kind of laugh that said, I am gonna fking ruin you. Thank you for confirming, she said smoothly. My lawyer will be in touch. Oh, and Greg.
Yeah.
Get the CK out of my house. Click. Call ended. Greg made a strangled noise. Emily whimpered. I smiled. And just like that, Greg's life was over. Emily turned to me, desperate. Jake, please. Please, we can fix this. I tilted my head. Fix this. I love you, she choked out. I made a mistake. But I love you. I can't lose you. I smiled. You lost me the second you spread your legs for him. Her whole face crumbled. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small stack of papers. Divorce papers. Her eyes widened. Jake. Already signed. I cut her off. I was gonna wait until tomorrow, but hey, no time like the present. Her whole body shook. No, Jake. Please, let's talk about this. I sighed. Talk? Emily, you had 7 months to talk to me. Instead, ked your boss. So now? There's nothing left to say. I tossed the papers on the bed. Then I turned to Greg. And you? If I ever see your face again, I swear to God, I'll king bury you. He nodded so fast I thought his head would fall off. I grabbed my keys, looked at Emily one last time, and shook my head. Have a nice life. Then I walked out, and I didn't look back. I didn't go home. Home wasn't home anymore. The bed Emily and I used to share, the kitchen where we laughed, cooked, and ate together, the shower where she used to press her forehead against my back and whisper about her day, all of it was tainted. So I drove. Nowhere in particular. Just away. My phone buzzed again. Emily. 34 missed calls. I chucked the damn thing into the passenger seat, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I love you, Jake. It was a mistake, Jake. We can fix this, Jake. Bullsh T. 7. King. Months. She hadn't loved me when she was on her knees for Greg. She hadn't thought about fixing things when she was in some cheap hotel bed, moaning for him like he was the best she ever had. Now she wanted to talk? CK that. I ended up at a dive bar on the outskirts of town. Dark, quiet, perfect. I ordered a whiskey, sat in a corner booth, and stared at the glass like it held the answers to all my problems. Somewhere around drink number 3, someone slid into the seat across from me. I glanced up. Shannon, Greg's soon-to-be ex-wife. Her face was unreadable, but I could tell she'd been crying. Not in the loud, dramatic way Emily did. More like she had burned through all her tears and was just king tired. You look like T, she said. I huffed out a humorless laugh. Yeah, well, it's been a long day. She waved at the bartender. Same whiskey he's having. I lifted my glass. To TTY marriages. She clinked hers against mine. To burning it all down. We drank. We sat in silence for a while, just existing in our shared misery. Then Shannon exhaled. running a hand through her dark hair. I know you probably want to forget everything that happened today, but she slid her phone across the table. You might want to see this. I frowned, picking it up, and then my blood turned to F***king ice. Greg and Emily. Together. Again. Not in person, but over text. She had sent him a long message, barely 5 minutes after I walked out of that hotel room. Emily, I don't know what to do. He's gone. He won't even talk to me. Greg. Baby, calm down. Let's just take some space. Let him cool off. Emily, he served me divorce papers. I didn't even know he had them. Greg. Just tell him what he wants to hear. He'll cave. He's emotional right now, but you can work him. Emily. I can't lose everything over this. Greg, you won't. I'll take care of you. Always have, haven't I? Emily. I love you. I stared at the screen, my vision blurring with rage. She still. F***king. Loved. Him. Everything she had said to me. The tears, the apologies, we can fix this, was a lie. She wasn't sorry. She was just afraid of losing. My stomach twisted into knots. I had spent 8 years of my life loving this woman, and she was already scheming to get me back under her thumb. I slid Shannon's phone back to her, my hands shaking with fury. She took a sip of her drink. So, I looked up at her. What now? She asked. I exhaled slowly, and then I smirked. Now? I said. Now we make them F***king regret everything. I always thought that if I ever caught my wife cheating, I'd go nuclear, burn everything to the ground and walk away while the flames turned our life to ash. But sitting across from Shannon, reading those texts, I realized walking away wasn't enough. Emily and Greg weren't just cheaters. They were manipulators, liars, cowards. They thought they could play me. They thought I'd be too emotional to think straight. Wrong. Now it was time to destroy them. What exactly are you thinking? Shannon asked, eyeing me over her whiskey glass. I leaned back in my seat, my mind already spinning with possibilities. Emily doesn't get to keep playing the victim. And Greg? He sure as F***ck doesn't get to walk away with his job, his reputation, and his wife still pretending she didn't know. Shannon smirked. So we expose them. I nodded. But not just expose. We ruin them. She exhaled slowly, rolling her glass between her fingers. I like the sound of that. Then let's get to work. The first move? Emily. She was already spiraling, and I was going to make sure she completely unraveled. I pulled out my phone. Time for a little bait. Shannon leaned in, curious. What are you doing? I smirked. Making sure Emily doesn't know what the F***ck is happening next. I tapped out a message. Me, hey. I don't know if I overreacted. Maybe we should talk. Within seconds, she replied. Emily, Jake. Yes, please. Can we? Emily, I love you. I swear to God. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Please, baby, just talk to me. I let her stew for a few minutes. Then I typed. Me tomorrow night. Dinner. Our place. Just us. Emily, yes. Oh my God. Thank you. I'll be there. I love you so much. Shannon peeked at my screen. You're gonna let her think she's winning. I grinned. For now. Because tomorrow night, Emily was about to walk into a F***king nightmare. And Greg? Shannon asked. I took a sip of my drink, feeling a slow, satisfying burn in my chest. He's going to lose everything. Shannon raised an eyebrow. How? I smirked. Simple. We make sure everyone, his boss, his coworkers, his clients, knows exactly who the F***ck he really is. She laughed. Oh, I love where this is going. So did I, because I had all the receipts, texts, emails, photos, videos, and tomorrow morning, they'd be in the inbox of every single person Greg worked with. His career, gone. His credibility, destroyed. And when Shannon files for divorce the next day, he'll have nothing left. Emily thought we were having dinner tomorrow night to work things out. Greg thought he still had control over this situation. Neither of them had any idea what was coming. I glanced at Shannon, who looked far too satisfied with all of this. What? I asked. She smirked. I like this side of you, Jake. Ruthless. Calculated. It's kinda hot. I snorted. Remind me to buy you a drink after we set these 2sh* stains on fire. She grinned. Oh, honey. The drinks will be on me. Tomorrow night everything would change. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. The night was calm. Almost too calm. Emily thought tonight was about fixing things. She thought she still had a chance to win me back. She had no idea she was about to lose everything. I set the table just like I used to, her favorite wine, dimmed lights, soft music in the background. I wanted her to feel safe, hopeful, because the moment I ripped it all away, that's when it would hurt the most. The door opened, and there she was, Emily, wearing a dress I had bought her 2 years ago. Like she thought dressing up in my favorite outfit would somehow erase the fact that I had caught her bent over for her boss in a hotel room. Jake! She breathed, stepping inside, eyes glassy. She had been crying. Good. Hey! I said, forcing a small smile. Sit down. Let's talk. She let out a relieved sigh, nodding as she took a seat. I was so scared you'd never speak to me again. I sat across from her, swirling my drink. I needed time to think. I get it, she said quickly, eager, desperate. Jake, I was so stupid. I made a mistake. But I love you. I never stopped. She reached for my hand across the table. For the first time in days, I let her touch me. Let her think she was getting through. And then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out and placed its screen up on the table. A notification from Shannon. Emily's entire body stiffened. I smirked. Greg's having a rough night. Her face went white. What do you mean? I took a slow sip of my drink, letting the silence stretch, letting her panic. Then I leaned in, my voice calm and steady. I mean his entire company, his boss, his clients, his entire professional world. Just got an email filled with proof of his mentorship program. Her breath hitched. You? Oh, and Shannon? I continued. She served him divorce papers today. He's F***kid. Emily. Completely. And guess what? So are you. Emily looked like she was going to be sick. She shook her head wildly. Jake, please, I didn't mean. Save it. I pulled a thick stack of papers from the chair beside me and slid them across the table. Divorce papers. Her lips parted in horror.
No.
No, Jake, please. You're going to sign them, I said. And if you don't, your entire office is getting those same emails. She stared at me, frozen. Jake, she whispered. This isn't you. I laughed. You're right. The me you married? He was an idiot. He thought you were loyal, that you actually loved him. Turns out, he was just a stepping stone on your way to the top. She flinched. I tapped the pen. Your choice, Emily. Either you sign or you lose your job along with your dignity. But either way, we are done. Her hands shook violently as she grabbed the pen. She hesitated for just a second, one final moment of delusion, thinking I'd soften. I didn't. She signed. Done. She sat there, broken, waiting for me to say something. Some part of her still thought I'd forgive her. I stood up, grabbing the papers. I'll have my lawyer process these first thing in the morning. She blinked up at me, stunned. Jake? Can we at least talk? I tilted my head. Talk? Yes, she pleaded. We had something real. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. We can rebuild. I still love you. I stared at her for a long moment. Then I sighed.
No, Emily.
I stepped back, shaking my head. You don't love me. You love winning. But this time, I opened the door, looking her dead in the eyes. You lost. Tears poured down her face. Jake, please. I didn't wait for her to finish. I just walked out, and I never looked back. Greg? Fired. Blacklisted. Publicly humiliated. His wife? Filed for divorce, locked down the assets, and left him with nothing. Emily? Still had her job. For now. But her promotion mysteriously disappeared, and her coworkers knew exactly who she was. As for me, I was at a bar, drinking whiskey with Shannon. To karma, she said, raising her glass. I smirked, clinking mine against hers. To burning it all down.